What's up, everybody? All right, let's talk about a few things with what's going on in this industry and everything that has to do with the way that things are right now, shaping and turning, because things are interesting. And like I told you, I'm gonna keep covering all this, and as these updates keep on coming out and all this stuff, I'll keep bringing it and letting you know because this is all important information, and this is straight up just dropping left and right. Charger six pack, what's up? Appreciate you for tuning in. Waiting for these notifications and all that stuff. It's this is pretty interesting how things are starting to take shape and how things are starting to change, and seeing how Comcast is straight up hungry. They are not playing. They really, really want to go big, and they got big plans for what it is that they want to do. I am actually excited to see how this is going to turn out and how people are going to see who's going to end up buying them and acquiring them because this is very, very nice stuff that's coming out. Yeah, hell yeah, they gotta fire David Zasloff. That dude just wants a lot of money, and that's understandable. But at this point, what they just need to do is just take whatever they're giving them, and because WB is not in a good situation financially, we already know that, and like they're gonna be running out of options very soon, and turning $60 billion down, that's pretty ludicrous, honestly. And again, WB is in a situation where they're losing more money than what they're making. They need to hurry up and accept an offer because they can't be picky and say, oh, well, that's too low. Like, yeah, it's like they're too expensive in the sense of whoever buys them, they're gonna have to absorb all that debt and all that money, from all those flops that they've been putting out for years. It's not just this year's, for many years that's finally caught up. And that's something very it's hurting them, in the long run. Jack, what's up? I think, financially, they just need to go ahead and just get rid of it. Pride to them, what's up? And they just got to do something ASAP because honestly, like as we keep on watching and hearing how these updates are coming out, because they're gonna keep dropping left and right. This one just came out within the past 24 hours. That's why I'm talking about it and covering it because the WB, they're in a deep situation financially, and if they don't sell, like I just talked about it in the video, they're gonna be forced to do what Fox did, what Marvel did back in the 90s. That's why they sold everything to Universal, parts to Universal like the Hulk. They sold Spider-Man to Sony, and Fox had the X-Men. So you get what I'm saying, like an Alien and all that stuff. So it's all caught up and stuff. So we'll see what's gonna happen. Um, yeah, it's wild. It's wild. You're hearing the rumor about Deathstroke being in Batman Part Two. Yeah, we want Ben Affleck's Batman solo movie. Yeah, notice how Matt Reeves is straight up stealing the idea, from Ben Affleck's movie. They're just trying so hard to like prevent anything that has to do with what's already there. With Zach. And jokes on them. I'm telling you right now, this is just proving and showing to you even more that things will shift and they're going to change at this company because this is very important. This is not no longer about WB overall. No, this is in the industry we're talking about because Warner Brothers, it's big. It's big. They distribute a whole bunch of movies, games, content and stuff like that, physical media, and like it's gotten down to the point where it's like, what has this company become? And people are tired of it. Investors are tired of it and stuff like that. So we'll see. We'll see what's gonna come from all of this, and it's just a matter of time. It's all a matter of time and stuff like that. Death Void, what's up? Love from India. Appreciate you for watching. Also appreciate everybody for watching. Also, let me see. Azure Black, what's up? Appreciate you for watching. Also, um, you know, WB has run out of options. They're just picking and choosing. But now, when you don't have many options, eventually people are going to get tired and they're not going to want to say, you know what, we're going to keep on, bidding high, even though they do have some good IPs. But, that's what's preventing right now Comcast, from making this offer. And this is why I'm starting to see why Paramount lowballed them because They're in too much debt. WB is in too much debt. You can't absorb debt and then think you're not gonna get out of it. And just seeing like right now, what came out within the past 24 hours, that I just made that video. Comcast trying to merge, Peacock with HBO Max. This could be the start of something. This is what I'm telling you. In January, literally in 3 months from now, we're about to hit, I think, less than 90 days. And we're in October right now. I'm telling you, a lot of change is going to be happening. This is what I was telling y'all. We're going to be hearing a lot of updates left and right. And this is what we're starting to hear in the past few days. It's not even a week. So, yeah, Clayface is not going to help it either. It really isn't. NBC Universal or Netflix better not turn WB into a subsidiary, or else I'm done. Yeah. I mean, in the end, I don't know how they're going to do and what they're going to do. But they need to make the financial moves that's going to benefit the company. And right now, turning down $60 billion, I feel that that's a stupid move from David Zaslav. Like, that's $60 billion. Like, yo, just take the money, leave, enjoy what you can, and let somebody else deal with it after. $60 billion is a lot of money, especially with the debt that they have. It's not like WB's constantly putting out movies that are making them $1 billion. No, they're putting out movies that are costing them millions, and it's all added up. Superman didn't save them. The DCU with James Gunn's not saving them. Barbie didn't save them. All these movies that they've been putting out just with DC hasn't saved them. Not even Minecraft. Minecraft almost made $1 billion. It was like the high 900 millions or something, and that didn't save them. So that's just telling you, it's letting you know that they're in a situation where they need to start, cashing in, and let people that actually know what they're doing and what they want to do come on board, and just run the show. Because right now, like, straight up, them still moving forward, of course, because James Gunn has the contract until November 2026. This is why James Gunn is officially already said that there's no Peacemaker season 3. Dude knows that there's no future left for him over at Warner Brothers. And if we do see that they start filming in 2020, what is it, 2027, before the buyout, everything's going to determine what once this buyout is fully complete. They can go ahead and start filming. Don't forget, they filmed and they finished Batgirl. So that movie was a final product. And in the end, they did a tax write-off. Don't think that they can't do the same thing to James Gunn. Hell yeah, they can. They could do that to a bunch of things, and that will give them some, tax write-offs and stuff like that. Especially the tax season is coming around the corner, in January. January to, like, I think it's like April and stuff like that. That deadlines for businesses and stuff like that. So they have a few months to still play around. And while James Gunn is still under contract, I mean, they can still move forward with it, but that doesn't guarantee that after the buyout happens that they're gonna go ahead and release it. They could do the same thing how they did with Batgirl. Remember, that was before James Gunn came on board. So if they were able to cancel that and say, you know what, we're gonna can all that and we're gonna scrap all the plans that was connected to the Snyderverse, don't think that they can't do the same thing to James Gunn. And I think he sees and he knows, that in the inside, they don't want him in Hollywood. They don't want James Gunn nowhere near Hollywood anymore. He's been ruining the industry, and now Marvel's coming out. Kevin Feige talking about, it was James Gunn that straight up, ruined setting up everything, in the last Avengers and stuff like that. So, it's bad. It's really bad. When you have all this coming out, this is terrible. Yeah, Grace Randolph, she thinks that Disney's flopping. Yeah, they're doing bad also. Not as bad as WB, but at the rate that they're going, if they keep it up with all this nonsense, they're gonna be just like WB. And the Star Wars, that brand is straight up destroyed. Honestly, let's be real. It's completely destroyed. Nobody cares about Star Wars like like they used to. If they did, then why are the Disney parks shutting down the Star Wars hotels and stuff? Because people are not spending money in it. See what I'm saying? That's how bad it is. That's just with the Star Wars IP. And look at Tron. The new Tron that just came out, Ares with Jared Leto. Unfortunately, that movie is not doing good at the box office. It's doing bad, and it's catching up. It's catching up. I mean, Avatar's gonna save them because, of course, Avatar is always Avatar. But where Disney is at right now, they're doing bad too. The current MCU isn't working. This year has been horrible. It's been terrible for them, and that tells you everything. Where this market is at and stuff like that. But still, they want to continue with all that crap. All of the agendas and stuff like that. Who knows what the hell's gonna come from it and stuff like that. We just gotta wait and see. We have to wait and see. Steve Jenkins, what's up? Appreciate you for watching. I appreciate you. Thank you. I really appreciate the support. Um, you know, yeah. Again, I mean, I know Avatar's still gonna be up there. It's gonna make more than the what Marvel has been putting out this year. That's for sure. Because it's Avatar. People love that. And they never push no agendas unless they want to go that route. But that will be completely a financial disaster if they do that. And honestly, like David Zaslav, this dude needs to literally get off his high horse, accept an offer, and bounce. Like he's not helping anything in Hollywood. He really isn't. Um, what makes a movie bad? Story, CG, or VFX? Everything. It's not just one. It's everything. Because look, if you have all of them, it's good. But no movie's perfect. You can have a good story and you can have a shitty quality type of movie. There's like independent films that are real shitty, but damn, they got stories, they got heart, they got character development and stuff like that. And you got some real high budget movies, and look at the crap we've seen with Superman, from James Gunn. That was bad, and we're talking about a big company, so and the story, don't even get me started with the story. There was really no story to it. It was just crap put together, and whatever they gave us, that's what they gave us. Universal will kick Disney's ass in the end of 2025. Yeah, they're already doing it. They really are. And seeing how, we haven't officially heard how much Universal, which is owned by Comcast, how much they're willing to counteroffer. But we know that they're preparing a counteroffer now. So from 60 billion, they gotta aim high. And I just talked about it in the video. If you didn't see it, make sure to check it out. That there's all these companies. You have Apple. Apple's the biggest one. They're straight up sitting at 3.64 trillion. And then right after them, you have Amazon, 2.31 trillion. You see what I'm saying? That's a lot of money. You're no longer in the billion club, you're in the trillions club. That's pretty much unlimited money. When you're in the trillions, I mean, that's straight up ridiculous money, and yeah, man, it's nuts to think about that. James Gunn is Pinocchio. James Gunn's days are numbered. Hell yeah, for sure. Shin Batman 84. His days are straight out numbered, and he knows it. James Gunn knows that his days at DC as DC Studios CEO, they're coming to an end fast. Fast. This guy is pacing. He's so, like, that his ego must be so crushed knowing that his end is approaching as CEO and in this industry. James Gunn's career is going to end up worse than Joss Whedon. Look at Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon's career is destroyed. Nobody wants to work with Joss Whedon. It's a mess. Nobody wants to work with him. Nobody wants to hire him. What has he done after Justice League? Nothing. Nothing. So he better stretch that money and try to make it last. But it's not, because these rich people in Hollywood, they have expensive taste, and that's what they like to spend their money on. So don't think that James Gunn isn't aware. James Gunn, but you better start doing like when these animals do in the winter, and they start storing, for the season, because it's gonna be rough. I'm telling you, once James Gunn is out, because he's gonna be out, and this is why you see all these James Gunn cultists coming out, trying to bark the same way that when we were fighting for the Snyder Cut. Oh, it's not gonna happen. The hell it is. Oh, it's gonna happen. It's happening now. It's already in full development. But what's holding these bids back is the shitty financial situation of Warner Brothers. All of these flops. Let's be real, business wise. Would you want to buy a car, a home, a product, invest in something knowing that the risk is higher than what you're going to get back? I highly doubt it. You're going to try to lowball it, right? You're going to be like, damn, I could buy this car, but it has engine problems. Damn, that's a risk. You never know when it's going to give out, right? Or you could buy clothing and be like, all right, it looks nice, but the quality is not going to last. Probably after like 2 washes, it's going to probably fall apart
or the the print's gonna fade and it's gonna just peel, stuff like that. You're buying with that risk. That's the risk. You're like, damn, it looks nice. Same thing with WB. It looks nice, but am I really willing to spend this much for it? Because you're gonna take more of a loss than what you're gonna do with with the win and stuff like that. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see. James Gunn Superman is Superman on crack. Yeah, I agree with you. David Corn said he might be shocked WB sells studio and James Gunn will walk out. Now, James Gunn's not going to walk out. He has a contract, but they're not going to renew that contract for sure. James Gunn will get a job. Most likely, after saying that, he filmed that scene with John Cena, his wife. And yeah, I've been seeing the memes everywhere about that, man. It's pretty wild. It's funny. It's hilarious. They had the corner seat for James Gunn. Do you think Andy Muschietti will not help Batman DCU? He will leave. I think in the end they're gonna end up scrapping Batman Brave and the Bold. This is why there's a lot of delays. It makes sense. It makes a lot of perfect sense of what's going on and what's happening right now. I think they're just gonna end up canceling all that, and Supergirl's not gonna make them the money next year. I'm telling you, if Superman did bad this year and they were struggling to get budget, oh, you better believe Supergirl straight up DOA. That thing is dead on arrival, 100%. Um, you still don't like Joss Whedon. You thought he did well with the Avengers, and now he's a dev job level of evil. Yeah, he did great with the Avengers. I give him give him credit for that. But what he did with Justice League, that WB should have never allowed that. That's the problem. They allowed it. So I don't really blame Joss Whedon because he did his part. He's a director. He got hired for that, right? But in the end, it's WB's fault. It's the same thing now. The DCU is tanking, yes, because of James Gunn, but at the same time, the people like David Zaslav and above James Gunn are the ones to be held accountable because they're allowing all this slop to be released. That's the problem. If David Zaslav, like I said this over a year ago, 2 years ago, right? I said they need to restore the Snyderverse. Announce that Zack is back. Do Ben Affleck's Batman movie. Announce the air cut that you're releasing it on HBO Max, right? And tease the audience and be like, "Yo, we're gonna do Justice League 2." I guarantee you that their stocks and everything will go up. Everything, everything. But since they're too stubborn and they don't want to accept it, this is what they're getting. They're literally paying the price at the box office and at the stock market. It's completely. Yeah, Andy Muschietti will be done. Nobody won't allow him to direct anything again at WB. Yeah, you know. Let's see. You think the studio sale for WB like Paramount, Netflix, A24, whoever is willing to spend money on them. Honestly, Edward, what's up? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of nervous with Netflix. I get it. I know Zach has said that he would love to and stuff like that, but the fact that Netflix they do not put physical media out. They only want to control everything that's streaming. That's a bad sign, honestly. And if we haven't gotten Rebel Moon on physical, what makes you think that we're gonna get this, Justice League 2 on physical media? That worries me. And all these other, projects and stuff. And low key, Netflix is woke. They like to put woke content. I get it that they're willing to do it, of course, to make money. But that kind of worries me too. And you know, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know how to feel about Netflix. I would love it, but at the same time, I'm kind of 50-50 on that. Let's see. Supergirl will be the nail in the coffin. Yeah, yeah. That's already completely is DOA for sure. Marvel Zombies is the final nail in the coffin of the MCU. Supergirl will be ruined by Spider-Man Brand New Day and Nolan's new film. Yeah, next year there's a lot of good movies coming out. That Nolan movie, Spider-Man, they're starting to build up now towards the next Avengers movie, Doomsday. Like it's gonna get serious. We got Mortal Kombat 2 coming out, and we got Street Fighter. But Street Fighter, I'm telling you right now, that movie that has me worried. I'm being real with y'all. Like that Street Fighter movie looks like straight trash. Like we haven't seen the trailer, but I hope the trailer really convinces me because it's just what I'm seeing right now with like pictures coming out of the actors and actresses dressed up in their costume. I'm just not feeling it. It feels like a straight up parody. It feels like straight up like they're not even trying. Like they're just doing it just to do it because it's like, oh damn, Street Fighter. People are gonna come out. I don't know. That's just not how it works and stuff. Um Bro, it's Wolfpack Nation Gaming. What's up? It's already happening. James Gunn fanboy already making videos about it and crying and will not accept the truth about James Gunn's out, and they were not accepted. Super trash, lost money. Yeah, yeah, big time. You know, you're starting to see all these the minority of the James Gunn cultists, because that's what they are. Because if they were the majority, they would have made bank and they wouldn't be in this situation, right? So once again, we're winning, you know, and we're proving to them, hey, look, you know, your false god, James Gunn, freaking joke. He wasn't able to pull it, and he wasn't able to do it, and he hasn't, and he never will. This is why things are changing and they're moving fast. Notice how these things are dropping out fast back to back. Just a few days ago, I want to thank everybody that has watched that video. That's nuts. I put up a video like probably within a few days. I think it was like last week or something like that, over the weekend. I think, yeah, it was over the weekend. And yo, like that video has over like 12,000 views. I was like, damn, you know, like I don't know what the hell happened there, but damn, thank y'all for that. And it's just showing you people are interested in what the hell is going on. People are curious. You have the same James Gunn cultists that were like, oh, the Snyder Cut would never happen, you know, and all these like shills, like, you know, like on YouTube and stuff like that. They were all like, oh no, the Snyder Cut would never happen, but now we have it. That's the same crowd that are still crying and complaining, and they're still bitter about the Snyder Cut. They're still in their feelings that back in 2021 we got the Snyder Cut, and they know that we will stop at nothing. This is why I told y'all that's going to be our motto. You know, that's the motto for restoring the Snyderverse. If you want Man of Steel 2, you want to see Ben Affleck's Batman movie, you want all these other movies, Justice League 2, 3, blah, 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 everything, right? That's what I want. All of that falls under the big umbrella of restoring the Snyderverse. Once the Snyderverse is fully restored, you know, also known as full circle, all of this falls into play, because that's where we're going to have literally the hashtag of Ben Affleck's movie. Because don't think that whoever buys WB is going to sit there with their arms crossed and be like, damn, you know what? All these Batman movies, but we never got a Ben Affleck Batman movie. Let's just let that slide. Let's just let it go. No, it won't. They're gonna be like, we're making a Ben Affleck movie. Damn it, we have to. Because how the hell? They know that they need another Batman IP. They know that there's a freaking huge demand. People are hungry for it. They're starving for it. The hashtag they trend. People want that. You know? That's telling you. That's telling you, yo, this is what's in demand. This is what people are wanting. This is what the consumer and the customer and the fans want. What's so hard for them to give it to us? Their pride and their ego. James Gunn right now must be straight up, you know, like marinating in his own toxic juice, because he must be like, damn, everybody's talking about Matt Reeves. Damn, everybody's giving credit to Matt Reeves. Damn, everybody's right now, you know, like riding Matt Reeves. How come they don't, you know, look up to me? I gave y'all Peacemaker. I gave y'all Creature Commandos. I gave y'all, you know, season 2 of Peacemaker. I gave you Superman. And still people don't care. That tells you everything. That tells you everything. You know? So when you see the James Gunn crowd, they know that there's no stopping it. There's no stopping it, you know? And in due time, it's going to change. It's going to shift. I'm telling you. Sean, what's up? Do you think Michael Bay Thundercracker live action Transformers movie? One thing I do gotta say, and I'm gonna tell y'all, I won't get into too much details. Just know that the Bayverse is coming back. It is getting restored. That's all I'm gonna tell y'all. That's all I can tell y'all. I'm gonna leave it with that. You're gonna see. You're all going to see that. That's all I'm gonna talk about with that aspect. Just know that the Bayverse, it's restored. It's restored. There's no and ifs or buts. And just like that, the Snyderverse is also going to make a comeback. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So everybody that says, "Oh no, it's never gonna happen," you know, I don't know why you even keep on fighting, give up. You've been saying the same thing over and over. Yeah, exactly. 5 years I had to put up with everybody making fun of me and insulting me. You know, all type of insults. You know, even threats. And what do we have? The beautiful Snyder Cut. To all the shills that said it would never happen, thank you, because we have it. We now have it on physical and digital. You couldn't stop us back then, and you're not going to stop us now. And you know it. And that's what's happening. It's coming. They know it. It's all changing. This industry is changing fast, and it has to, because everything is connected. Wall Street, the stock market, you know, jobs, the economy. All this depends on movies. When good movies are out there and they're making money, guess what? People are going out to the theaters. Guess what? People are spending. People are buying. You know what does that do to the economy? It helps it because now money is coming in. It's generating. You're creating jobs. You're giving opportunity. You're doing this. You're doing that. You're building capital. And it's again a full circle. Everything is connected. Unfortunately, everything is connected. And it's just, like the Lion King, it's the circle of life. What the hell are you gonna do about it? That's just how the system is. That's why it's called a freaking system. Because it's all connected in one way or the other. And when the industry is doing bad, the video game industry, the comic book industry, the movie industry, everything, that affects everything. Don't believe me? You don't believe me? Then why the hell are things going on clearance, and even on clearance they're still not selling on whatever it is? It's so bad. Look, it's so bad that you go to Ross right now, you go to Ollie's, you go to these places that they buy second, when things don't work out. And recently, all right, this is how bad the Transformers brand has been. Not only Transformers, I'm just using that one as an example. Transformers, if you collect and you know about these prices, I'm a collector, I know what's up. You got items that are like $50, $60, and they're selling them for $20, $19.99 at Ross. What is that telling you? One, that they've been fooling us, because if they're selling for $50 or $60 and they're selling for $20, what are they really holding back from us? That means that they could drop the prices. They can drop the prices. If physical media is getting on clearance and going on sale, what is that telling you? That they could sell it for cheaper. Now, they don't want to, because of course they want to, be greedy and stuff like that. And you're seeing it with Marvel. Marvel Legends, the same thing. All these products that were expensive are selling, and they're not even moving at $7.99, $9.99, $11.99. They're not selling because people have had enough of it. Nobody wants to have in their collection the Eternal characters. Nobody. Those things are still sitting in stock, overstocked, along with Black Panther, the last movie that they did, what it was, Wakanda Forever, Star Wars, all those shitty films that they did bad at the box office. And unfortunately, Tron and all the merchandise, along with Superman 2025 from James Gunn, is also going to end up in all of those stores because they're not moving. They're not selling. What do you have? 1 out of 1,000 people that are buying the products that consume it. It's not working. Who the hell's paying for Superman from 2025, right? Think about it. For the figures, what are the deluxe going for? Like $34.99? Add that up times what? If there's like 4 in a wave, that's a lot of money. You're just spending over $100. And they're sitting, literally, I just saw them like 2 days ago at Walmart on clearance. And you know how much the clearance is? Regular price is $34.99. On clearance, they're still trying to sell it for like $30. That's their clearance, $30? Nobody's going to buy that shit. That shit's going to end up at Ross by the holiday season. I'm telling you, because they can't move it. They have to move it. And they need new merchandise to come in and stuff like that. So when you have all of these things going down, that's just merchandise, all right? I haven't even gotten to the topic of video games or the movie industry. Do we really need to get into details about that? No, because we see it. We're seeing it. How shitty is the industry in the gaming side? It's so bad that look at how WB has been putting out their games. Marvel, the whole excitement for Marvel and the MCU, it's cooling down. It's cooling down. I remember when Marvel Rivals came out, that came out like probably a few months ago or something like that. During the summer, it was hot. Everybody, the first 90 days, everybody freaking excited. Oh, Marvel Rivals. It took me about almost 3 weeks to download it. I'm gonna be honest with you, because my friends, we all play and stuff like that. And they were like, yo, download it. I was like, first of all, that game takes a lot of hard drive, on your PlayStation, and I was like, damn, all right, whatever. I downloaded it. I gave the game a try and a chance. Less than 2 weeks, I was like, this game is boring. It's boring. I was like, is this a straight up wannabe Fortnite? It's trying to be like Fortnite, but it just can't. And of course, Disney trying to take their idea, trying to build their own thing, because of DLCs and you could buy skins and accessories, all that crap, right? Same thing like Fortnite. But we already know that Fortnite has that unlocked. That's what they've always been doing. And now, nobody cares about Marvel Rivals. You still have a community, you still have some people that are playing it, but it's not what it used to be. And that's just one game. That's just one game from Marvel. When you have shows like what is it, Star Wars Acolyte, whatever that's called. I don't know. I don't keep up with it. I'm not a Star Wars fan. But when you start hearing fans complaining and saying, "Yo, this is trash," oh yeah, that's bad. That's bad. This is why I'm telling y'all. I don't care what. Look, I'm gonna hurt right now the Star Wars fans, and I'm not gonna apologize because I'm gonna say how it is. Sometimes we gotta hear reality how it has to be said. When people are like, "Oh, I'm keeping it real," and then they try to like sugarcoat it, nah, I don't. I'm telling you straight up, 100% facts. All right, Rebel Moon. All right, a new IP from Zack Snyder, and not because I'm a Zack Snyder fan. No, Rebel Moon is 3 times better than what Star Wars is now. You know why? Because at least Zach tried to entertain us. On the other hand, Disney is straight up slacking and like, you know what? Let's push this agenda low key. Let's remove this character. Let's bring this one. This one's somewhat connected. Yo, you already lost me. You lost me. And no wonder I'm not interested in your Star Wars brand. And that's that. They could have been capitalizing with Zack Snyder, with Rebel Moon. WB could have been right now capitalizing with Zack Snyder and Rebel Moon. And both companies said no. They were like, no, we don't believe in it. Oh, you don't believe in it? It took Netflix to say, you know what? We believe in it. Let's make it work. And they gave us two, two movies, right? And on top of that, they gave us another Snyder cut. You might be like, oh, but the Snyder cut is only with DC and it was with Justice League. No, shut up. Snyder cut meaning they gave us his other version, right? So now we have in history 2 Snyder cuts. One at DC with Justice League from Zack Snyder. And guess what? We got another Snyder cut with Rebel Moon. 1 and 2. So who's winning? Who is winning? Is WB winning? No. Is Disney winning? Hell no. You know who's winning right now? Netflix. Because Netflix was like, you know what? WB doesn't want to take a risk. Disney doesn't want to take a risk. Screw it. We're going to take the risk. And look how much they've gained from it. While all these James Gunn clowns have been talking smack online, making videos about all of us that talk about Zack Snyder and how good and proving you with numbers and bringing you sources, and they still deny it. Because that's how the James Gunn cultist community is. They all live in denial. They don't like to accept reality and criticism. And when you bring the facts, it's like shining a bright light to their face, saying, look, here's the statistics. You hear this page? That's called statistics. That's the facts. It's written down. Zack Snyder, Netflix, Rebel Moon was another global phenomenon, just like when it was with Zack Snyder's Justice League. It was a global phenomenon. How come we don't hear that with James Gunn? How come we don't hear that with Superman? Superflop, in other words. Huh? Superflop. That's how his legacy is going to go down. That's the legacy that James Gunn has created. It's all a flop. Nothing works. How come Disney is not where it used to be, on the top of the mountain? Because they've gone woke. They've gone with the agenda crap that nobody cares. It's already over. The agenda era is done. It's done. Literally. You don't believe me? Do your research. Nobody cares about that anymore. People just want good quality. That's all. So when I come on here and I talk and I tell you guys, yo, this is what's happening, and some of you are like, oh no, that's not what's happening. Oh, you're delusional. I'm the one that's delusional? Wake up and smell the coffee. The numbers are in your face. Accept reality. This bid is going to happen. James Gunn is going to get removed. Nobody, let me repeat that, nobody in Hollywood wants to work with James Gunn anymore. Not even Marvel, because now you have Kevin Feige saying, yo, James Gunn, he made a mess before he left over to DC. And now he's carrying that same mess with DC. Thank you. Thank you. James Gunn tried so hard to get, this is why James Gunn was bullshitting everybody. And of course, his fake followers, you know, they always like to eat up slop. You know, you pour diarrhea in a bowl, they'll eat it up and be like, you got more? I want more. They're going to be like, you know what? When James Gunn puts out, oh, he's cooking. No, he's not. What is he cooking? James Gunn tried so hard to get Ryan Reynolds to appear at the end of Peacemaker Season 2. Because he's trying so hard to forcefully do that whole crossover. This is why I'm telling you, James Gunn's goal is to try to push the Disney agenda. And Disney wants to have their hand and finger in everything. And that's what they're trying to do. I'm glad that that didn't happen. I'm glad. Yes, they're doing a crossover in the comics again and stuff like that, but they want to try to have full control when it comes to the cinematic universe because Disney wants to know, hey, hold on. The mouse must be like, I want to know what's going on over there too. I want to be able to steal the ideas like we did with Zack Snyder and Justice League. That's what it is. They want to steal the ideas. How the hell are you gonna have the Russo brothers straight up tell Zach, yo, here's a slice of pizza. Tell us all your secrets. You think I'm a dumbass? You think I'm gonna give you and reveal to you all my ideas? Get out of here. Zach was just chilling, eating that slice of pizza. He was like, yo, I just film, I just do my thing. That's it. I love that. I love how Zach completely replied to them. Because he knew that they're trying to steal ideas from him. He's like, yo, hold on. Hold on. We ain't gonna do this again. Because now, oh, you don't have Zack Snyder no more, right? You don't have the blueprint to copy anymore, huh? You don't have any more copy and paste, right? And then claim it and say, oh, it's yours now? Because that's what Disney did with the Avengers. And that's what they did with Zack. When they brought in, of course, people from Marvel over to DC. What do you think? That Joss Whedon wasn't a rat and he wasn't snitching to Disney and especially to the executives? Yo, they're doing this. We should do the same thing too. Hey, this is what they're planning. We should end up doing it. Oh, Batman versus Superman? How about we go ahead and give Iron Man versus Captain America? Before they do it, we do it. Oh, but they already moved the date. Oh, screw it. We'll release it a week after. Come on. Let's be real. Shit everywhere and from everyone. I'm tired of hearing excuses. Marvel and DC are both tanking. DC is on the brink of straight up going into bankruptcy. The same how Marvel was back. Happened in the 90s. Let me give you a quick history, right? Before Disney bought 90s, we're going like they are right now with DC. But what happened? DC surpassed them. They were destroying them in comic sales, right? Because DC has always been more badass. And then Marvel started struggling, with Stan Lee and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, they were forced in the early 90s to sell because they couldn't afford to be in business anymore. So guess what happened? They sold the X-Men to Fox. And then Fox owned the X-Men. That's why we got all those shitty films from back then. But they were still putting out movies. And then what happened? They sold Spider-Man, which Sony still owns to this day. They still own Spider-Man. That's why you see that all the movies go directly to Sony, all that stuff. And now they've had to build a partnership with them because they too want a little bit of that money. They're like, yo, that's our IP. Haha, guess what? We own it. That's Sony laughing at them. Guess what else? Oh, that's right. Marvel was so bad in the 90s, they had to sell the IP of the Hulk. The Incredible Hulk is owned by beautiful and lovely Universal. Who owns Universal? Comcast. And Comcast is like, yo, either you pay us or you ain't getting nothing, baby. And that's what they've been doing. That's why we don't get no Hulk movies. You know why? Because Universal's just like, yo, we own the rights. That's already 3 IPs that they've lost. I'm the ones I can think of off the top of my head. So what is DC gonna do if they don't sell? And this I'm telling you now, they're gonna be forced again to be in the corner because if you have David Zaslav that's so stubborn and he doesn't want to sell and accept an offer, eventually he's gonna have to sell DC to one company. He's gonna have to sell Harry Potter to another company. He's gonna have to sell Barbie, the movie rights, to another company because I know Barbie is owned by Mattel. So some of you that be like, oh, but it's not owned by DC and stuff. I mean, by Warner Brothers. I know, I get it. It's by Mattel, but the movie rights. That's what I'm talking about. And the same thing with other IPs that they own. What do you think that they're not gonna be forced? Of course they are, because they need money so they can pay their debt off. And in the end, they're gonna lose money because of the debt, and they're gonna lose their IPs. And this is where it's heading if this buyout doesn't happen. This is what I'm telling y'all, and I'm telling you how it is. This buyout is very important and it has to happen. It needs to happen ASAP. I think, this is just me, I think low key that in the end, David Zaslav is going to screw it up. And he's going to cost the company everything and everyone's job. You know why? Because David Zaslav is far beyond greedy. $60 billion, you turn that down? Yo, $60 billion, take it and ride out. It's not like he's going to be around for another 1,000 years. Let's be real. Let's be real. Call it how it is. Enjoy what you can while you still can. Take that money, ride out, and let another company come in, absorb the debt, let them get out of that situation. Real talk. I'm not bullshitting y'all. Straight up. That's what you need to do. Somebody comes at me and tells me, yo, 60 billion? Say no more. Here's everything. Where do I sign? Let's go. That's it. Who cares? David Zaslav has no idea what he's doing with these IPs. He has no idea what he's doing with all these brands, with this company. And most of all, David Zaslav has no idea and had no idea by saying and appointing James Gunn as the head of DC Studios. That was the biggest mistake to happen to this company. The moment that David Zaslav said, you know what? Yeah, we're going to leave James Gunn in charge. Why? Because he did Guardians of the Galaxy? That doesn't mean shit. Oh, we already saw the disaster with Joss Whedon. Oh, Joss Whedon did the Avengers and they made $1 billion. Yeah, it worked over there. It didn't work here. How many more times do you need to lose financially to finally wake up and say, you know what? Yeah, you know what? We messed up. Admit that you messed up. Bringing James Gunn was the biggest mistake to DC in the WB brand. It was, honestly. I'm glad that Disney fired his ass. They were like, no, we're not going to put up with this. They used him for the last Guardians, that holiday movie, and said, you know what? Here you go. Open the door. Here's string, paper, and he flew a kite, meaning he left from there. Yeah, Disney was like, we're not dealing with this, especially with all the backlash. But then again, here goes WB. Oh, damn. I want to pick up those sloppy seconds. Here, come. And that's what they did. They did that with Joss Whedon. It didn't work. They're doing it again with James Gunn. It's not working. It's not. And the problem with DC is that they keep on bringing people from Marvel. Nothing against them. But why would you bring your competitors in your playground, especially what you're building and what you've been building? That's what just doesn't get through my head, you know, as a fan and stuff like that. Something is going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. Nobody can say. I can't tell you, oh, this is going to happen. This is for sure going to happen. Nobody. Nobody. Not even people in the industry. Not even James Gunn knows what's going to happen. The only one that knows what's going to happen in the end of everything is David Zaslav. David Zaslav has the ball on his court. He already threw it back to Paramount and said, yo, you're bidding too low. $60 billion? I mean, look how much debt you're in. Are you really able to be picky and say that's lowballing you? Really? Are we going to get to that point? It's going to get to a point where nobody's going to be like, you know what? You're ridiculous. Nobody wants to invest this much money because you're costing too much. And then it's going to force them to eventually go the same route that Marvel was back in the 90s. They're going to have to sell because nobody's believing in them. They're like, hell no, I'm not going to spend that much money. You can keep that shit, you know? It's like trying to buy something. Oh, I want this much. Yeah, you ain't getting that much money. That's like going to GameStop. Oh, this console, this console straight up worth $500. But you know what? I'm only going to give you $100. Oh, damn. That's the best you could do? Just for that, I'm going to give you $80. What? Nah, give me the 100. I'll take it. Too bad. You only can take 80. And for talking, you're going to get 70 now. That's how the bids should be going. To tell them, yo, you want to play around? We're going to go and play around. And we're going to do what we have to do with you. It's crazy. It's crazy. Christopher, thank you. I appreciate that. This is the classic case of a guy who was appointed to a position he wasn't fit to be in. Exactly. I agree with you, my friend. I agree with you. And I hit the like on that. I truly appreciate that. It's good to see, how fans and people within the community, we're all coming together. We're setting our differences aside, and people are starting to realize, hey, this is no longer about, this or the other. No, it's overall about the brand and the company we save, because we care about this. That's the thing. We care about these IPs. And people need to understand, when I and other YouTubers go on here and talk about this on this platform, I love my freedom of speech. I love it. I'm loving that I could tell you how it is without being censored. All right. You know why? Because we need that. We need the reality check from time to time. And when you have people calling it how it is without sugarcoating it, to me, I'm like, damn, you know what? Yeah, you have a point. I might not agree, but you have a point. And it does make, it makes sense. That's the thing. People have been so distracted, being forced with either agendas or you're going to accept this, you're going to accept that, and you're not going to say a word of it. People are finally waking up again. people are finally waking up all over. And I'm loving that, seeing how people are again uniting and seeing, yo, this is bigger than one thing that we thought it was, you know? Because in the end, let's be real. If David Zaslav completely rejects all of these offers, let's say, for example, now the next, whoever it is, from 60 billion, they're like, yo, we'll give you 80 billion. And he declines that. Oh, damn. I think it's going to reach up to 100 billion. You know, if it surpasses that and he still declines it, I'm telling you right now, that this is over for the industry. It'll be over for the industry because once WB falls apart and it goes into collapse, I'm telling you right now what's going to happen. Everything is going to go everywhere. And the thing is with WB is they're really known when it comes to distribution. And that's going to affect and have a big impact on everything. Not just the movie division. We're talking about the gaming, the collectibles, the merchandise, the music. It's going to affect everything. Everything. Because everything now has to be restructured. Everything has to be rebuilt again. How do you go about on that? All because of one person, which is David Zaslav. David Zaslav has no idea that he has the biggest IP in the universe. The biggest IP, meaning Warner Brothers, with all of these IPs under it. Harry Potter, DC, whatever comes after that, right? It's too much. And he doesn't know what to do with it. That literally is you watching someone in power and not being able to say, damn, I got too much power. He has too much power and he doesn't even know. Too much power for his own good. And unfortunately, that's what's it's caught up. It's caught up. And in the end, he needs to sell. He needs to take an offer and say, you know what? We have to take what we can and go. Because this is going to affect everything. Whether it sells or not, now at this point is going to affect everything. Either both sides. This is gonna be like a one of those things like the cause and effect. You know, you all know that I'm big with that. That's something that I'm using in my comic. Everything has a consequence. If it sells, it has a consequence. It's good because it's gonna help out. If it doesn't sell, that has a consequence also because it's going to affect now everything with the domino effect. It's just gonna go downhill. You think it's bad now? If David Zaslav doesn't accept the offer, it's gonna be 3 times worse than where we're at right now, and that's gonna affect everything in the long run. This is what I think is gonna happen. In the end, he might he might be waiting to try to probably get in the high hundreds, the high hundred million billions or whatever, you know. But he's running out of options, because they need to move. They need to move fast because people want to put out movies. You have directors. This is all going to affect everybody. The same way that the writer's strike was going on. This is going to affect it the same way because people are going to be like, well, we can't do anything, because what do we do with this? Oh, we don't know yet. Oh, what do we do with that? We don't know. Everything's going to be right now. Everything is leading to a question mark where everything's going to be, we don't know. We don't know. Everything is just speculation right now. Everybody's right now, wanting answers, but everybody is right now uncertain. This industry is uncertain, and we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see what's gonna happen. Yeah, I get it that he passed on the first offer. Don't take the first offer, but what's gonna come after that if he keeps on declining everybody? Eventually, people are gonna be like, I'm not going to keep on bidding. I'm just not because it's just unrealistic. Sometimes some things you gotta just let it go. And this is that one thing. Because I'm telling you, if he doesn't accept any offer at the end of all these bids, let's just say that it does go to 100, what is it, 100 billion, and he still declines it, and in the end he's declined everybody. You think those people are gonna want to come back and say, hey, I'm gonna bid even higher? Nah. There's a limit. The same how Alfred told Batman in the Dark Knight that when he was in the Batcave, he was like, know your limits, and then Bruce was like, Batman has no limits, and Alfred told him, you got to know your limits. That's exactly the same situation, like David Zaslav, all these investors. We're talking about money. We're talking about money. This is serious. It's like you have to know your limits. You don't want to overpay, and knowing that you bid more than what you can chew, and especially how you're gonna pay the debt down. just because you gambled it and it's like, oh, now I own it. Okay, but what are you gonna put out to make three times of what you already invested? It's that serious. We're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see. Yeah, he seriously. I mean, I don't think he knows to 100% what he really wants. I just think that the greed of him is just blinding him in the sense of well, I know this IP is worth this much. Okay, but if it was worth this much, you wouldn't be in this situation. Let's be real. You can have a product, right, that you're selling. It doesn't matter what it is that you're selling. To your eyes, you feel, hey, this is worth this much, probably more. Okay. Now you have three people that are interested. The first made an offer, you decline. The second one made a decline. Okay, now you're to the last one, and let's say the third one did worse than the first one. You're gonna be like, oh man, like, and now guess what? None of the three want to buy it because your price is insane. It's like the song, you need to cut it. Your price way too high. You need to cut it. That's the same thing. Your price is extremely high. Nobody's gonna want to absorb all that debt. And now it's literally falling. This is why I made that video today. It's all about the financial loss that's affecting Warner Brothers. That has finally caught up. So people are very afraid in the sense of, man, if I buy this company for this amount of money, the risk is, what if I don't make that money? Even if you do own the IP, because they're struggling right now. Let's just say, for example, okay, a new company buys them and they decide to move forward, for example, with Matt Reeves, the Batman. And then they're like, we're going to do Batman too. All right. Don't think that they're not gonna be nervous. They're gonna be like, well, the first movie didn't do good, and that's a Batman IP. But then they could look the other way and say, hold on, what about Ben Affleck? Oh, okay, there's a fan base. People want that. That's the difference. People want that opposed to, I think this is what people might want. Let's look at that. Break that down real fast. People want Zack Snyder to come back, and they want Ben Affleck to make a Batman movie. And people are like, yo, I will go buy that day one, right? Or we could give them Matt Reeves, the Batman too, but people are not really interested in that. See the difference? You're doubting your own product, even though it's an IP that you know is going to sell, but you're doubting it because you're like, damn, the first one didn't do that good. All right, let's go look at the numbers. Damn, how much did Superman back in 2013 came out? Oh, they made this and they made 55 million on top. How much did the new Superman cost us? Oh, it cost us this. How long did we take to make budget? Damn, it pretty much took us the whole, 89 days. What? Damn. And how much profit did we make? We didn't make profit. We barely broke even. So we barely broke even and we didn't make profit like we did with Zack Snyder with Man of Steel, a movie that came out 12 years ago. Hold on. The math isn't adding up. How the hell are you going to tell me that this movie was a success when it's costing us and we barely struggled to make budget back? Where's the profit? Where's the profit? There is none. That's the whole point. You see what I'm saying? It's still a well-known character, Superman. But Superman sold 12 years ago. It didn't sell 12 years later, which we are in today. If I was an investor and I would be on the board, I would be like, yo, I am not putting not even $1 into this shit. You know why? Because it's not working. It hasn't been working. It's proven. How come Netflix shares are in the thousands? Even when the economy is bad, their shares are still in the thousands, high thousands. What is that telling you? That people believe in it. People believe in that brand. People believe in whatever the hell they're doing. Call it what you want, but it's working because they're making money. That's what matters. They're making money. You can't say the same thing about WB. WB struggling to make $18 a share. Marvel, they got some numbers up there higher than WB. Paramount, their numbers are starting to go up again. And once they announced, the whole thing with the rumor going around with Michael Bay that he's going to be back, guess what happened? That helped their shares. Things are moving again. So what are they doing? They're cleaning house. In the end, it's all about what's going to make money, how you're going to spend money, and how you're going to make and bring back all that money so you can continue to put out more good quality. Because you can't put out quality if you don't have money. Let's be real. You just can't. You have to sacrifice one or the other. And James Gunn, ever since he came on board, he's been getting money from the company. And all he's doing is bringing his little team, the same little team, right? From the Suicide Squad all the way to Creature Commandos, Peacemaker, probably Supergirl. All these same people are carrying over. You know what that's called? That's called favoritism. That's called favoritism, straight up. Don't come at me and tell me otherwise. That's favoritism. You can't be like, yo, we're gonna move forward and do this movie and do this, and then in this universe, you're playing three characters like David Cornsweet, playing Superman, he's playing Ultraman, he's playing the Brovia, whatever the hell is three characters. How about his brother? His brother's gonna be playing what, two characters? The what about the other person? Oh, they're playing two characters too. Oh, that's okay, right? That's acceptable, right? But now here's the fun fact: where's the money? Where's the money? How come you guys are not bringing back money? We're giving you all this money, but how come you guys are costing us money, even more on top of what we've already given you? The Flash, it tanked. And don't come here and be like, oh, you see, that's what the Snyderverse was about. It didn't make money. No. They try to force that movie to fit in canon with the Snyderverse. And we know damn well that that's not what we wanted. We know damn well. Because why the hell they brought in Michael Keaton that had nothing to do with the universe? And why the hell did they bring in George Clooney that has nothing to do with this universe? And don't tell me, oh, because they opened the multiverse and the portal opened the door and the worlds collide at the end. But you don't know comics and this and that. No. I don't want to hear no more excuses. That was just James Gunn being James Gunn, trying to create all this mess that they're in. Because he knew that everybody's gonna be asking for more Snyderverse. So what is his goal? This is why he did what he did on Peacemaker. He erased the Snyderverse straight up. And the same way that he erased the Snyderverse, that's how Zack Snyder, with the Flash, erased Justice League when Darkseid took over. When you go see Justice League, what happens is the mess that we got. But what happened after the Snyder Cut? Zack Snyder fixed that. He was like, nah, hell no. We're fixing this shit in real life. And what did he do? He used the Flash, reset time, and he stops Darkseid. The biggest threat of all DC, right? He stopped that. Meanwhile, James Gunn screwing around, opening doors, going into different dimensions with his silliness, his raunchiness, his orgies, and all that nonsense, right? That's okay. That's acceptable, right? Screw the fans. We can't do what Zach was giving us, right? We can't move forward with quality. But where's the money? That's the thing. Where is the money? If you're not putting money and you're not giving money, it makes no sense. That's the part, you know? And it comes down to that. It just really comes down to that. Um, Christopher, appreciate that also. That's not favoritism, but nepotism. Yeah, exactly. That too, you know. As far as James Gunn, he hasn't made any movie for DC since he came on board. George Clooney being the Flash movie came from Gunn. Yeah, clearly. Those famous notes. The famous notes he loves to give. He gave it to Andy Muschietti. He gave it to what's his name too? What's Todd Phillips. Look at the mess that we got for Joker too. You know why? I'm starting to think about it. Now, this is literally getting interesting. You know why? That's James Gunn's ego kicking in because he knows that the first movie made $1 billion. So James Gunn's gonna be like, you know what? I am not going to let somebody else take my spotlight. I'm going to ruin Joker 2. And that's what we got, a musical. You all remember I was calling, I was like, they're giving us a musical. How many people didn't make fun of me? Oh, you don't know your stuff. And we have a musical. And that's what we got in the end. And look how bad that movie came in. Lady Gaga couldn't unfortunately save that movie. Just because, oh, we're going to bring in Lady Gaga. She's going to help with sales. Oh, really? How did that go? It didn't work. It didn't work. And look at what happened. Look at what we have after that. A mess after a mess. And everything keeps on piling up. Unfortunately, that's what, has been coming out from this. And look at where we are right now. We saw it with The Flush. We saw it with Shazam. I mean, everything is a mess, unfortunately. And this is what has caught up to the studio itself. They wanted to stay away. They didn't want to move forward with it. And in the end, it's all literally caught up. They need to seriously do a revamp. They need to do something urgent in the sense of, well, you guys need to sell because this is not making you money. It's just costing you more money, and the studio can't afford it. They cannot afford it, and it's in a situation where it's like, look, all you have to do is simple. If you don't want to sell, like I said, you don't want to sell your company, it's simple. Do a DC fandom. Bring it back. Announce that Zack is back. Announce you're releasing the air cut. Announce you're doing Justice League 2 and 3 and you're giving proper closure to that universe. Announce what you promised us and what you were setting up. That's how you fix and redeem yourself. Call The Rock, apologize, and tell him, yo, we screwed up. We want you back. We're going to do a Black Adam 2 because we're finally setting it up. with you versus Henry Cavill. You're down? All right, cool. We're gonna call up Henry Cavill. Hey, Henry Cavill, this is the plan. You're down? Yeah, hell yeah, count me in. Boom, let's go. And just for the hell of it, you know what? We're calling also Zachary Levi. Hey, we're gonna be doing this. Zach's gonna be in charge. You're down? Oh hell yeah, let's go. Boom. Now we're talking about something serious. This ain't no, fooling around like what James Gunn has been doing. We're talking about now legit, serious tone characters. All right, let's continue where we left off. All right, boom. Let's go to the next thing, and that's what they need to do. Bring in Patty Jenkins. Bring in James Wan. You want to bring in another director for whatever the hell you want to do? Go for it. Go for it. All you need to do is do it right and give the fans what they want. Fans want a right Harry Potter movie. Damn it, you give them a right Harry Potter movie. I'm not into Harry Potter. That's not my thing. I'm not interested in that IP. But to the fans that love Harry Potter, every time I go to Universal Studio, it's insane just to see how many people go out there. It's nuts. And it's beautiful to see when you go, like Universal Orlando and shit. I don't know how the one in Hollywood is, but when you go there, you literally see how you have the whole theme of Harry Potter with with the train, and it takes you to the other side of the theme park and stuff. It's beautiful. You had the big dragon on top of the castle, it blows fire, and like, oh wow, everybody's waiting for it and stuff. That's beautiful. It feels like you're really in that village and stuff with the floor, the details, the stone, all that stuff. Universal's making bank off of that. You get what I'm saying? How come WB can't make money off of the movies? Because they don't care. Either they don't care, or they just don't have the right creative ideas. And I'm like, how do you let that slip? How? See what I'm saying? And then it's like you have the biggest characters in the world: Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, and you have no idea. You haven't used them in who knows how long. And then now James Gunn must be also bitter because he's like, damn, everybody's right now, praising Matt Reeves and the Batman universe. Damn, I can't compete against that. Oh, you can't compete against Zack Snyder, and now you can't compete against Matt Reeves. So what's gonna happen to Batman Brave and the Bold? Oh, Superman did bad. Do you think they're gonna want to move forward and say, you know what? We're gonna go ahead and do a Batman with James Gunn because all that silliness that didn't make no money, we're gonna do it again. No, that's completely that's business move. Yo, don't even bother. Don't even bother because that is going to cost you even more than where you're at right now. If you think right now is bad, I'm telling you, it's gonna be even worse. And that's what they need to fix. They need to fix all of these movies in the industry. It's not hard. It's not hard. It's very simple. All you have to do is just put out good content on whatever it is that you're doing. All it is just give good content. That's it. Stop hiring all of these, straight up what is it, writers and people that are like, oh, you know what we should do? We should do a race swap or a sex swap, or we should do this. Once they already bring you that, you're like, no, hell no, hell no. Don't even hire that. Straight up, don't. Because that's gonna ruin your brand. And that's what these companies in Hollywood have been doing, And it's affected everything. It's affected everything. And in the end, people are not watching. That's the thing. People are not watching and they're not buying because they're like, I'm not gonna watch that crap. Look at how bad Snow White did this year. Do we need to go that far? Snow White? Just the actors alone before the movie came out. If I was Disney, I would have been like, you know what? Screw this. We haven't even gone halfway through the film to film it. Yeah, we're gonna pull the plug on it now. Oh, what happened? Now we're going with a different route because you're ruining our brand. You're destroying what we've built for all these decades. But no, Disney was like, all right, go for it. Go for it. And it didn't do well at the box office. You see? You reap what you sow. What are you going to do? In the end, it costed them literally everything. But that's what they wanted to do. So in the end, it all, it all falls down to the company, to the people in charge. And it's not that hard. All you have to do is just literally give the fans what they want. The moment that James Gunn said and made fun of the Snyder community and the Snyder fans is the moment that he straight up said, you know what? I'm locking and loading and unloading to himself. And that's what he did, if you get what I'm saying. Because he straight up insulted majority of the audience. And it's proven by now. It's proven by now. All right? If it wasn't the majority, how come Superman didn't do well? How come Peacemaker isn't making the numbers and the views that they think that they were? Oh, that's right, because nobody cares. You literally disrespected everybody. And for that, now people are like, no, I'm done. I'm done. Look at how bad Peacemaker season 2 was. I didn't have to see it to tell you, hey, you know what was trash. I already know it's trash when I'm seeing it. And that's exactly what it was. And then hearing everybody, all these people that were supporting James Gunn, turning their backs now on James Gunn tells you everything. They're like, yo, I was wrong. Yeah. And they're apologizing publicly on Twitter, also known as X. You see them, yo, I apologize to the Snyder fans. Oh yeah, we should have gone with Zack Snyder. You know how many posts I've seen from different people, and these are people that have huge followings, but it's telling you that they don't believe in James Gunn anymore. They believe now in what Zack Snyder had. They believe in Henry Cavill. They believe in the DCEU. They don't believe in the DCU. It's not selling at Walmart. It's not selling at Target. It's not selling at the box office. It's not selling anywhere with merchandise. Nobody wants that crap. Nobody. 1 out of 5, you're not doing something right. But then you have McFarlane Toys, right? Coming out with a movie that's over what, 10, 12 years ago, right? And they're like, yo, you know what's going to sell? Oh, Batman versus Superman merchandise. And what happens? It's sold out. Oh, but it doesn't make money, right? For a dead universe, it doesn't make money. But yet they have to go to that dead universe, quote unquote, and bring in money, right? Makes no sense. Make it make sense. Add it up. The Snyderverse sells. Period. If it didn't, then why the hell did Todd McFarlane with the McFarlane toys said, you know what? We're gonna test these Snyder fans and we're gonna do a campaign. In 30 days, they have to reach a goal of $400,000. And I'm sure that there was somebody in that freaking meeting, and they were like, "Ha! You're gonna see it's not gonna reach those numbers." And guess what, clowns? In less than five and 7 days, in 5 days, it got fully funded, and by the end of the run, it surpassed those numbers. And it was almost like at 700,000. So it made more. Again, profit. Profit, sit on that. Think about that. Now there's a campaign with David Ayer's Suicide Squad. Not James Gunn. Huh. Why are we going to to David Ayer's Suicide Squad with Joker and Harley? Why? That's not the universe that we're in right now. But why you need to go back and put out these products? That's right, because you need money and you know that shit sells. Don't come at us and tell us otherwise. We know, and you know damn well, that with Zack Snyder and David Ayer, that merchandise sells. How come you don't put James Gunn's Suicide Squad version of those characters? Oh, that's right. Let me let you in a secret, because remember when that shitty movie came out? Remember that? All the merchandise from the Suicide Squad, it all ended up in clearance, and it still didn't sell. It still didn't sell. Oh, but we don't talk about that, right? Oh, we don't talk about the flops, right? Fuck that. I say how it is, and that's the reality. The reality is that with James Gunn, nothing sells. He's costing the money. He's costing the company money in everything. Those fake fans that call themselves, oh, James Gunn is cooking, fake as fuck. You know why? Because you don't go out there and support it. You don't go out there and buy it. You just talk on the internet. You're big and bad. But when it comes to the day of, you didn't shut us up and you didn't prove us wrong. You proved us right, because we told you that Superman 2025 from James Gunn was going to tank. And what happened? It's tanked. And now you have Forbes and you have all these legit companies coming out and admitting that Superman from James Gunn was the worst thing, and it tanked at the box office, that they were struggling to make back on their budget. Oh, but that you deny, right? Because those are facts. Now you have all these people that were getting paid by Warner Brothers, that they're coming out and telling you the real facts. That with James Gunn, that shit does not work, and it will never work. With Zack Snyder, that's where the profit is at. That's where the money is at. That's where the big dollars are at. You don't believe me? Go to Netflix. You still don't believe me? Do a Google research and see the stocks of WB compared to Netflix. Ha! Whose stocks are high? Not WB. And that's with James Gunn. And besides DC, what else is working? Oh, wow, because Barbie made $1 billion? Where do you think that $1 billion went to? Oh, that's right, to all the debt that they owe. What about Dune? Oh, that's right, to all that debt that they owe. What about with Minecraft? Oh, it almost made $1 billion. Whoop de fucking do. Where did that money go to? To the debt that they own. And where are they right now? Still at the bottom of the tank. What does that tell you? That it's not working. Meanwhile, Netflix, parties, feasting, enjoying, making money. And meanwhile, HBO Max losing subscribers. They barely got any content. Shit, they don't even got content. What content can I think of right now that I can say from the top of my head? Oh yeah, they got this. I don't even know. But Netflix, yo, Netflix has One Piece coming up season 2. Netflix has this. Netflix has that. And it has more on the way. What is Zach doing? He's working with the people from UFC. Big money ballers. These people, it's ludicrous to think about how much money they have. He's doing that movie right now. He's working The Last Photograph. After that, he's doing that UFC movie. And after that, when he comes back, guess what? He has more work lined up. Because let's not forget, recently, WB finally said that, yeah, Zach is going to come back to do the 300 prequel. What is that telling you? Zach is back, baby. He's back. It's just a matter of time. It all is being restructured, fixed, repaired, whatever you want to call it, behind closed doors that you and me will never hear because these are, private meetings that they're having inside the board. And, probably James Gunn isn't even involved in that because it goes above his pay grade, if you want to say. So in the end, David Zaslav has to make that final call and say, you know what? We're going to accept this offer or not. But I think he's going to, if David Zaslav is, business wise smart, he's going to have to sell. If he doesn't, that's going to affect everything. It's completely going to straight up affect everything in the industry, and we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. But it's interesting. This is interesting how it completely, comes and how it's moving. And this is moving fast. Now we're about to hear. We haven't heard how much Comcast is willing to put on the line. We already know that Paramount got rejected for the 60 billion. Now we have to see what Comcast counter offer is going to be. It has to be higher than that. And if that one gets turned down, then we have to see what Netflix is going to counter offer with. And then so on and so on. That's why I've been telling y'all. This is the bidding wars that I told y'all for a few months that we were getting close. It's finally here. This is it. This is the bidding wars that we've been waiting for. Anybody that denies that and say, oh, it's not going to sell, all this and that. I don't know what to tell you, honestly. You're probably living in fantasy land because this is real. This is happening. This is coming out. I wouldn't be surprised if probably because remember when Netflix not Netflix when Paramount Skydance made the offer, that was last week. That was like and probably that was like within 15-20 days that we spoke about it before we actually heard the 60 billion. And now this is a week later almost, Friday will be a week after we heard that David Zaslav turned it down. So probably we might hear something by this weekend again. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if we do, with the counter offer. And like I'm telling you, big things are happening. We just don't know what and how they're going to take place. We're going to know in the end once it's sold, and then we'll finally hear, hey, this is the person, the company that bought it and stuff like that. So we're gonna see, and it's interesting. This is very interesting, and I'm excited. I'm excited to be here with each and every one of you. Even if we agree or don't disagree, like whatever, we all have our opinion. But to me, honestly, this is an honor. This is a privilege because it's thanks to each and every one of you that watch, that comment, that hit the like, that hit the dislike, that subscribe. Like it's showing. It's showing people are seeing and they're realizing, damn, you know what? Like people are believing. That's all it is. People are finally seeing, yo, this is not bullshit. This is real. Like this shit is real. You don't need a big top celebrity to tell you, hey, you know what? This is what's going on in today's world. And because I have 100,000 followers and I have all this, fuck all that. I'm CS the director. I'm a nobody. I just tell you what I'm seeing. And I'm trying to talk to you with logic, with common sense, something that people don't have in today's world. That's what we need. We need people to wake up and see, yo, look around you. This is what's going on. This is what's going on. People are tired of it, And that's the part where it just says, you know what, damn, I need to talk about this. I have to. Because I'm not the only one that feels like this. I know that there's more people. And it shows because people are subscribing, people are commenting, people are replying, people are donating. I thank y'all. Even if you can't donate, I still thank you for taking the time and say, damn, I'm gonna just check them out. And you drop a comment, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whatever. But you took the time and you did that. To me, I'm like, damn, you didn't have to, but you did. See what I'm saying? That to me, I'm like, damn, whatever it is, like it's okay. People are gonna agree. Some people are not gonna agree. It is what it is. But to me, like I said, it doesn't bother me. It just doesn't. Like, but it just shows you that people everywhere have had enough. And not only fans, customers, and consumers, we're talking about people in the industry, because the industry is doing bad right now. Hollywood is not doing like it used to. It's doing bad. You know, the movies that they're putting, they're flopping. They're flopping. They need to wake up and be like, yo, we need to give quality again. But no, instead they keep on pushing those agendas that nobody cares about. Because I don't want to watch a movie and be like, you know what? The same way that some of you might be watching a movie or watching a show or probably watching my content and you get ads and you're like, damn, I can't stand that. It irritates me, right? That's exactly how we feel about the industry. Like, damn, what's so hard? Okay, I get an ad. That's normal. That's how they make their business, whatever. But it's like, damn, how the hell you put out 3 movies, 5 movies, 10 movies? You've been around for almost 100 years, and you guys are doing terrible. You're about to go sell because you're not caring about your consumer anymore. You don't care about your audience. You've gotten too comfortable. And that's the things that I bring and I talk and I say these things. And it's good because everybody has to hear it. Probably somebody in the industry has to hear this. I don't know. I never know who's watching and who's listening and stuff like that. But it just tells you and it shows to you this is what people are interested in. And in the end, once this sale does or doesn't happen, something is going to come from it. But we don't know. Everything is just speculation right now. Some of us are like, oh, this is going to happen. I'm one of them. I'm like, this might happen. It might not happen. But just know that whatever does happen at the end, it's going to shock everybody. Whether it sells or it doesn't sell, people all over are going to be talking about it and be like, this was good or this was bad. And we're going to find out soon. In the end, all it is, like I said, it all depends on David Zaslav. If he wants to accept the offer or he's going to turn down, the offer because, in this point, it completely, it's important. It's very important, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen and stuff. So, but with that being said, my friends, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. And as more things come out, updates and all that good stuff, I'll bring it to y'all. I'll share it with y'all and stuff like that. So more things are gonna be dropping. I'm telling you, this is just the tip of the iceberg of more things to be dropping and coming out left and right. All these updates, I'm telling y'all, watch. You're gonna see by the end of the week, we're gonna be finding out probably what the counter offer is going to be, and it has to be higher than 60 billion. I'm telling you, this is all like straight up like a gamble. This is straight up like a casino right now. Who's gonna be the high roller and say, you know what, I'm gonna make this offer and things like that. But with that being said, my friends, thank y'all for watching. Y'all have a good day. Stay safe out there. Until next time, peace out.